The Palestinian people have a long tradition of producing poets. It's played an important role in preserving their history, but also a tool of resistance and survival. Those in the literary and educational fields have not been spared the brutality of the past 8 months. In December, Literary Hub published a remembrance of 14 Palestinian poets and writers killed by Israel since October 7th, though that list has not been updated in months. In April, UN experts decried the systematic obliteration of Gaza's education system and used the term scholasticide to describe it. One survivor is Mus'ab Abu Toha, a poet, scholar, and founder of the Edward Said Library, Gaza's first English language library, named after the celebrated Palestinian-American scholar. On November 19th, Abu Toha was detained by Israeli forces on his way to the Rafah border as he tried to evacuate with his family. He recounted his brutal detention in the New Yorker magazine, where his writing has been featured. It was this notoriety in Western intellectual circles that prompted international outrage and spurred Israel to finally release him. Most Palestinians, though, don't have that benefit. Since his release, he has been documenting what has been happening in his native land from afar, with painful stories of dead family members and friends and the destruction of his home. Mus'ab has a new book coming out in October. It's a collection of poems called Forest of Noise. He joins me now. Mus'ab, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I want to start by asking you about your constant documentation of Israel's bombardment and war on Gaza and the intensely deteriorating conditions that the Palestinian people are still enduring in Gaza. Over the past few days, you have shared posts on X about an enormous massacre at the Shati refugee camp where you were born, and you wrote just hours ago, "Our souls are not heavy, they are very light. Please stop turning off the lights." Elaborate on what you mean and what's been going through your mind over the last day alone.
I mean, it's very devastating. Thank you so much for having me, Ayman. It's so very devastating for me that this massacre is happening while right now I'm in Syracuse in New York State. It's very devastating to be outside of Gaza, to watch my people being killed, because I was nearly killed. I was detained. In fact, I was kidnapped, not detained, because I was cleared to leave Gaza with my wife and 3 children. It's very devastating for me to watch my family looking for food. Walking out in the street it's so difficult for people, and it's very dangerous and risky for people to go out in the street to look for food. One time, my mother and my sibling and his children just went out to our bombed house in Beit Lahia to dig through the rubble and see if they could find food in my apartment. And the only thing that they could find were some books, to the extent that I wish that I had food on my bookshelves instead of books. Today's massacre happened in Shati refugee camp, one of the 7 refugee camps in the Gaza Strip. There are just hundreds of thousands of people in a just very tiny place that's called Shati refugee camp, which Shati means beach camp. So this city, the Gaza Strip itself, is on the shore. It's on the beach, and people are just looking outside of their bombed houses into the sea. They wish they could just go to the sea and fish for food. But Israel has been maintaining a blockade on the sea, on the sky, and on land. And fishermen are unable to go and fish. It's been going on since 2007. Right. No fisherman could fish as far as 7 nautical miles. And now it's very dangerous even to go to the beach itself. So it's very devastating to see my people starved by the Israeli occupation, to see my neighborhood in Beit Lahia bombed, and now to see the refugee camp where I was born to be bombed, and to see some of the faces that I could recognize when I was a child.
Let me ask you about one of the poems that you've written, and certainly you've written many poems over the last 8 months, including this one called "We Deserve a Better Death." Can you talk about this particular poem? The feelings you had while you were writing it and your hope for how it resonates with people. Are you writing these poems to help yourself process and grieve what is happening, or are these more intended for the world into some kind of action or reaction?
So I write poems in English and in Arabic, and this poem appeared in my first poetry collection that I wrote in the English language in 2022. So, when I come back to read this poem, for example, which is part of the book that was published 2 years ago, when I look at this poem, I feel like I've written it yesterday. So this in itself tells us that the misery and the disaster that the Palestinians have been going through is decade-long occupation. So when I wrote that poem, when I write poems in English, it's like I'm talking to someone who doesn't know exactly how I live as a refugee, as a father, as a displaced person right now. I mean, I had to leave Gaza, not because I wanted to save my own life, but because I wanted to save the lives of my wife and 3 children. And I had the opportunity to leave. And when I read this poem, about us deserving a better death, not even deserving a better life, I mean, because we are living under occupation. At least if we are living under occupation, I mean, at least we need to die just, a natural death. We don't have to have our faces, our heads cut off. Just today, I posted something on Instagram, and unfortunately, Meta continues to remove my posts when I try to show the people in the world what Israel is doing to us. They are not bombing only houses. They are not killing a family. They are killing people who live in the same neighborhood. So there was a photo of a young girl, and I could see her hair. There was only the head, even part of the head.
Yeah.
And someone just put into that same blanket what remained of one of her feet, and Meta removed it. So we deserve a better death. Okay, if we are going to be killed, let us be killed, just maybe by a bullet or something, but not for our bodies to be thrown around under the rubble. I mean, Israel is not only killing the houses; they are killing whoever is inside, as if these flesh and blood and bones were part of the construction of the house itself. This is very brutal. This is unbearable, and it should be stopped today and now.
Musab, we're almost out of time. We don't have a lot of time left, but I want to ask you, since you kind of brought up the censorship of things that you're posting, you're able to consume Western news. You live now here in New York. What do you think the Western world or American media, social media is getting wrong or doesn't know about Gaza?
I think most people, when they think about Palestine, and especially here when we're talking about Gaza, they think that Gaza is just a heap of rubble. No, Gaza is a very beautiful place. It has strawberry farms. It has beautiful buildings. And sometimes the Israelis would, when I post something beautiful about Gaza, they say, oh, how do you say you are under siege? We are not occupying you. You see how healthy you looked in the past? As if they were feeding us. No, we created Gaza to be a beautiful place. Although we have been under siege, although we live under occupation for decades, the whole world needs to know that Gaza is just like any other city, and people want to live, and they don't want anyone to control them or to, they want to be free people of the world. They do not want this genocide to end, but they need freedom. They need a state to live in freedom, in security, just like any other people in the world.
Musab Abu Toha, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your poetry. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ayman. I appreciate the time.